Google Summer of Code 2022 as a contributor with Rocket. For those who may not know GSOC is a global program focused on bringing more student developer into open source development. So after contributing as a contributor, Samad has returned to GSOC in 2023 as a mentor for the same project, Rocket Chair. So this transition from contributor to mentor showcase his growth and the value that he brings to the open source community. So after contributing to Rocket.chat, he dedicated to open source and led him to middleware company where he has worked for 9 month internship, after which he was hired as a software developer. During today's session, Samad will guide through several key points like basic of open source, a comprehensive guide to contribution, how to navigate through the code base, how to tackle open issue, in how to enhance your skill with real projects. Before we begin, I encourage you all to check out the GitHub repo that is middleware, and the link for that should be shared with you in a short period of time alongside the LinkedIn ID for Samad. So without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our speaker, Samad. Samad, what's your floor is yours.
Hey guys, what's up? यार already I think शेख अब्दुल्ला ने काफ़ी मेरे बारे में बता ही दिया, right? So I'm gonna share my screen for a while for you guys to see. Okay. So I think you guys already know all this by now. I am from an SIT. I was in GSOC. I am a maintainer right now at RocketChat. I was in Samsung for a while where I interned, and abhi I'm at Middleware HQ, right? So all this has already been explained by Sheikh. Can you see my screen? No. Like, can you see my PPT?
Yes, sir.
Question.
Visible.
Okay, so all this we've already discussed, I think. So we're past that. I'll share my profile, LinkedIn, GitHub, whatever you guys want to see. वहाँ पे you can verify if this is true. मतलब people can fake a lot of things when they do this sort of stuff, right? So okay, I'll just share a repository. So this session won't be like just me speaking about open source, because I think सबको पता ही है at this point कि क्या है open source and how to navigate it. I've seen so many videos on YouTube right now जो बस बताते हैं कि मतलब यार open source कर and you will earn money. But people don't talk about how do you actually get in to the open source community, how do you actually start with open source, right? So I'll take a brief time to sort of talk about open source, like not much time, but uske baad we'll probably dive into code part of it, how to navigate code bases and all that, right? So okay, so open source kya hai? So open source projects are those where the code is online and it's out there, right? Open source 101 workshop. So like, why is open source there and why should you even care? So open source softwares exist because you need to know at times what the code is doing. For example, if I have some software on my machine that can just send some random data that I have to someone else, right? In that case, I need to know what the software actually does, and for that I need to know what the code is, and that's why we need open source at times. For example, banks need to know what software they use so that they don't get exposed, some data isn't leaked. So in all those cases, open source plays a very important role, because you can just see how the code is working. The code is not making any calls to any random server, and you can ensure that it always remains free for people to use, right? Open source softwares, and like, why should you even care about it? So there are most things that you use every day. For example, most of you are students here, although I don't see any chat. Okay, yeah. Do start this repository, guys. We will go through this in this meeting. So go through it, 4K, start it, and we'll go through it in the meeting. We have 80 people, so like let's aim at 80 stars or like 80 forks, because we will be making contributions to it. So open source projects are Python, C++, Linux, Android, all these things that you learn or want to learn in college are open source, right? And like, you won't have to pay for a Python module or C++ to learn C++, right? I think that's the beauty of open source, that you won't have to pay for some stuff. You can learn and build for free. Imagine having to pay for a random language like Python, right? That would be super expensive for everyone, and people can't build stuff they want. That's why people make softwares and make them open source, right? And that's how the world actually grows further. Varna, if you see companies like Apple has so much closed source software in their phone that you don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. You have no idea, and then they sell it for like super high prices, right? So open source actually helps the global economy be a bit stable with these things. And it's mostly by developers who want the world to be like a better place, uh, in some sense, because you can't pay for every third software you use, right? Something has to be there for free, maintained by people for free, and that's the beauty of open source, right? Now, how did I start with open source and like how it helped me? So that open source is not an easy path for anyone to follow, right? I did open source in 2021. I tried in 2021 and I failed miserably. Um, in that in that time, I knew React, I knew some basic programming, I knew some stuff, but my first PIR was very simple. You can see my first PR was this ever in open source, so I'll just go through it. It was just like a UI issue that I picked up, alignment card issue in some random repository that I saw at the moment was hyped up. So like this is all I did in that year, right? And like this like 2 3 years back now, and at that time like this was my first ever PR. It has some comments, and it was pretty simple, but as we move forward, things get more complex in open source. In that year, I tried for GSOC, I couldn't get in. Obviously, because all my PRs were pretty low hanging fruits. They were simple POI issues, things dealing with CSS alignment and all that stuff. So all that stuff is not too complex for people to do. So you can't go and do all those things in a project and think, yeah, this all I'll get in GSOC, right? So uh, that was what so Buddha in that year I couldn't do GSOC that year. उसके बाद I didn't really lose hope. I figured कि yeah, there is a skill gap that I need to fulfill. I just worked harder. I learned a bunch of tech, tech stacks, like a bunch of tech. In that year, I learned Next.js, I learned React, I learned multiple things over that period. In that duration, I also figured that my coding is probably not, matlab, as sharp as it needs to be. In that year, I did some DSA, I did some extra stuff, and tried to make my coding better in that year. In that time, I also figured care open source maybe it's not for me, right? So I just did CP for a while. I did contest for a while, and then I got my something internship. So once you get your internship, you are sort of chill. Here internship is gonna happen in the next summer. I am sort of free for the next semester, and in that semester, I figured, ठीक है, मतलब I have ample time now. I have done enough DSA for the last 6 7 months. I know stuff. I have some free time on my hand because internship के बाद I can find a job next year. I have a PPO, like maybe I have a PPO. So I didn't spend time too much in that semester. This is like 21 end and 22. In that year, I didn't. So in like Jan to May, I was kind of free, and I had a Samsung internship in like June already lined up, right? So I knew कि यार चल रहेगा, पास में 6 महीना डे से नहीं करनी, नौकरी नहीं चाहिए अभी के लिए, तो I'll just do something that I might enjoy, right? So उस time पे I just started with open source, right? And I figured कि यार GSOC के बारे में सुना है, so I'll maybe give it a shot. And at that time, I also was trying to find other internships in the meantime, because college में you are pretty much broke, पैसे नहीं चाहिए बस कुछ करने के लिए. So maybe I find an internship and all that stuff, right? So उस time पे that was the case, and I applied to companies. They gave me tasks, but I figured कि यार development I have lost there for a while, and I couldn't build stuff from scratch at the time. I was so much into DSA at the time कि यार CP like CP की वजह से dev छूट गया था, which happens I think with most people, right? So if you are doing dev CP, कुछ लिख दो comments में, so I know that people are alive in this chat. I don't know if it's allowed or not. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. The chat is maybe not working right. So in that year, at that time I started with sort of figuring out key where to contribute, how should I start with open source, right? I found Rocket Chat as an organization uh, at the time. I figured that they are pretty active. They are in GSOC every season. I started contributing in January and Jan to Jan Feb. I just sort of saw their code bases, looked at how it was, and figured yeah, बहुत बड़ा code base है, इतना नहीं हो पाएगा, right? Like it's a massive code base. If you look at Rocket Chat right now, it's like a big project that you'll probably see and get scared of. So that's what happened to me as well. At first glance, it's like such an old and big project that you might get scared of. And like so many stars, right, on the repository. It's an old project that's been maintained for a while. I started contributing to that project. In that year, I got into GSOC. Like luckily, I figured the mistakes from last year. I picked up harder tasks over time, and in that year, I did GSOC. Uh, and after that, I had my Samsung internship lined up. I did that. And what that time sort of brought me was that I learned to navigate code bases, right? Because in Rocket Chat, I ended up going through a large chunk of code, both pre GSOC and during GSOC, because I had to build like a whole app for them, like a integration for them for GitHub. So I spent like a lot of time in figuring out how to read code bases, how to navigate through code bases when it's like such a big piece of code that I have to navigate and build something मतलब on top of it, right? So that is the harder part, to find कि कहाँ पे क्या डालना है, like how do you make changes to a vast code base. And that time I learned that, and that was like my CP, DSA, all that stuff helped me in that. Same for like the dev I did, all of it sort of lined up. I had a Samsung offer after that. I had a PPO from them after my internship. And after my internship, I was just going through LinkedIn, posting about my GSOC, and then I got a interview at middleware. They were sort of like a small company. They were building a team at the moment, and I just started working for them as an intern. I joined them full time after that. So that's my whole journey with them. So yeah, and I had a job. So they saw my GSOC post that I had at the time, and that's how they sort of reached out to me. So open source did sort of helped me crack this job. So yeah, it's pretty cool thing to do, right? So the next thing I wanna sort of seek here, how do you find projects in open source, right? So to find open source project, you have to figure out ki, what do you actually like to do, right? Uh, do you like web, Android, AI, and all that stuff? And like where do you actually can contribute, what do you actually like building? Some people like ML, some people like web, some people like Android, some people like AI. So figure out your niche. Where can you contribute, like the stacks that you have learned so far, the frameworks you have learned so far, the languages you have learned so far will sort of help you move forward, right? So figure out where you want to contribute and see last year projects. So last year projects can be found on the website of GSOC. So you can check out last year programs, like in 2022, you can find my project over here. I hope so. If you find Rocket Chat, you can find the old project by Rocket Chat and just see, what all had they done in that year. So you can find probably find a project that I did that year if you look hard enough. Yeah. So you can find the projects from that season. From over here, you can sort them by tech stacks, by organization, like dev tools, AI, OS, media, languages, all that stuff can be sorted out. And उसके बाद you can sort of see where do you want to contribute to an organization, right? The next thing that you can check out is this cool website I have called GSOC Organizations. In this website, you can actually add multiple filters with languages. To add like Python, you can just see like which org use Python projects, or like web plus Python and like data intensive projects. You can club these filters out and figure out a org you want to contribute to as per your interest. So this sort of way you can sort of choose an organization pretty easily based on your tech stack and interest. So that's a thing that you guys can check out. I'll just share the link in the channel. You can check it out. right now. I'll just share it over here. Cool. Okay. Uh, can I see the link that I shared? Someone, can you reply if I'm live or not? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So my link is visible, right? So this is the link you can sort of see to check out sites. To like check out the old projects from GSOC and to sort of see कहाँ पे contribute करना है. That's I think a pretty cool website to check it out. And the next thing is, yeah, you should always follow your passion and interest. Check out projects where you want to contribute, and like don't be forced by it. कि ये चीज़ को करना है. Find a project you actually like to contribute to. That's my first step, right? The second thing is, here once you find an organization, what do you do next, right? So I found GSOC. Sorry, I found Rocket Chat, right? But like, what do I do next? So you have to see here, how do I contact the mentors now, right? For example, if I have Rocket Chat, I need to see here, how do I talk to the mentors, the people who have contributed to it, and like how do I move ahead from here now. So I would say talk to the maintainers, talk to project mentors, find groups where they talk. Like people have a Slack channel, people have Discord, people have RC channels. So like RC has this open server that they have over here. You can ping people in their channels. I knew some orgs who have Slack channels online, hosted by them, so you can check out them. But like we have these channels in Rocket Chat to sort of ask questions from maintainers and mentors and all that. So talk to your mentors. Don't just try solve the problem or by yourself. So spend some time, talk to maintainers as well, talk to contributors, see how can you start contributing to a project, right? Because the code bases are vast, so you need to ask questions from the maintainers as well, about like what do they need in the project in the coming months, what is a bug that they want to solve in the coming months and all that, right? So do have like a chat with them. Then the next thing is here. Once you talk with people, they will ask you to find a issue that you want to solve, that you can solve, and then just start contributing to it, right? So how do you contribute to a complex project like a Rocket Chat? So the best advice I can give is, Kia, you need to be a user first. So think of using the app first. Try to use every feature of the app. For example, when I went to Rocket Chat, the app is complex, right? Like it has so many stuff that you can do. Like it has like these channels with chats. Like some groups are there. You can have threads. You can have reactions. And all that stuff, right? So you should know how to use the project first, right? As a user, so learn to use the project first for a few days. Try to find out how the project works, see how multiple features work, and then try to read the code base. Otherwise you can't actually navigate a large project from code to feature. You have to go from feature to code. That's I think how you should move forward in any app or any project. So that's what I have as advice. So yeah, and like after that you can find out the good first issues they have, right? So see how many issues there are. See क्या लोगों ने सॉल्व कैसे करे हैं पहले. See their older PRs. See like how some issue has been solved by someone else, right? And then you learn the code base by their PRs. So for example, if I want to know how someone solved an issue, I would go to like this list of close issues and see like what solved that issue then. So I would go to, let's say, this issue for the server, and then I can just see the PR for the issue. Okay, like what actually fixed the issue was this PR. So you learn from that pair and then move forward. That's how you should navigate code bases in general. After that, yeah, the thing is ki open source at the time of GSOC gets super competitive. You can't find issues that are not assigned to people. Most are taken around January, February, and it's like a super competitive market out there at the time. So don't be super what do you say, like competitive with people. So I would say break things and open new issues, because that will sort of help you to move faster. Because यार if you keep pinging people कि यार मेरे को ये वाला issue चाहिए but अगर लोग busy हैं, it's hard to get them reassigned to you. So I would say break the app and just like open new issues. So मैंने सेम किया था. I was in RC4 community, so I found the bugs in that project, and then I just solve those bugs over time. So if you see the things I opened were these issues, and then I just fix these over time in my PR. So that's how you can sort of move forward with that. After that is that you have to read code by people. So code padna is the main part of open source, but you can't read all the code, of course. So it's the same thing, right? Find issues, find a PR जिसने वो issue close करी, and then read that code segment to sort of help out, right? And you can just like learn piece by piece then from that, right? And now we will go through like a code base and see how it's done. So we'll go through this repository first and try to solve the issue. I'll sort of show like how it's done, how to find the issue, how to solve it on your own and all that, right? So this is the project. You can fork it, start it as well. So go ahead, just like start the project first and then fork it as well, right? So we have like how many people over here? 75 people. We can see a spike of like 60 stars or like forks in this meet. So that's a cool number to have. So सब लोग जाके start कर दो, fork कर दो project को. So this is like a open source project, right? We are sort of maintaining at the moment. So see the project first, see what it does, right? So see the readme, start the project, fork the project. You can watch it as well. You can have pins. You can find the open issues. So see the project and like what it does actually, right? So see the readme, see what it does. See it's working first, like what all it does. So just like a Dora based project. So then you can just Google like what is Dora metrics, right? So that's what you should do first. So I guess be like a user first, right? So learn about the project and then sort of move into the code base. Am I audible? Like you're checking in for the time.
Yes.
So code की तरफ जाने के पहले कुछ questions, like if people have questions I can take them up for like 5 minutes because I've been speaking for the past I think 30 minutes. People might have some questions. Like till you guys can fork the project and then fork and clone it. So you guys can clone the project. So you can do is you can go over here in the download section of the project. It's a fork. You can fork it and then you can do like a git clone over here. So this is the link. I'll share it again. इस लिंक पे जाके it's already there, right? So link पे जाने के बाद you can just start it and then you can go to the code section and copy this, and then in your terminal you can open like a new window and do like git clone. So I have it open by default, so I'll just open like a new project and then you can do a git. Let's do this, right? Yeah, you can do like a git clone in this. So OSS session 2 and you can do like a git clone over here. Yeah. That's what you should
Yes.
really do. Tell people do this with
So,
questions in the chat.
so anybody has a doubt, they should raise hands. So we will allow them to talk.
Is the chat on for people though? I can't see people's
Yes,
chat till now.
I know. But they can raise hands first.
Okay. I don't
Okay,
see.
so
Yeah.
so someone has this. So Rahul, they're asking.
Hello, Samar.
Rahul,
Audible?
Hey Rahul, what's up?
Yeah, like is CP very necessary for open source, or we can do it like an alternate way?
No, yeah. It's not necessary. I did it because of placements and internships. Were not that super not necessary. Like it's not necessary at all.
Because like when I was going through like code courses के questions and all, I didn't find them like very relevant to for me to build my logic and all.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
not interesting, very much interesting.
So I'll just take this question once. Till then, you guys, once you're done with the repo, starring, and working part, उसके बाद you can just like have like a hello in the chat. I think that would work. Just say hello. So that would help. So hi Rahul. So where CF and all that stuff, right? It won't help you in dev directly. So you won't learn React or Node.js and all that stuff by uh, doing code forces, right? Or by doing DSA. If that makes sense, right?
Okay, okay.
But what it will help you is to solve problems. So in this whole field, you will be just solving problems uh, every day in multiple code bases in multiple places, right? So DSA and CP will sort of help you become sharper in solving problems, and that's the sort of beauty of it. You can learn how to solve complex problems with CP or DSA, and then you can sort of like use them in your work. That's how it works, right?
Yes, I
If
can like do it through DSA, right? Like I
Yeah,
don't have to do CP.
yeah, not really. So CP is not relevant if you don't like it. If you like it, it's fine. If you want to work in a company that requires CP, then it's fine. But it's not necessary at all. I didn't do a lot of CP. I just like did it for some months, I think. But like DSA helps you to solve problems faster, at least. Uh, that's been my experience because you need to know how DS works, right? Like some algos, some DS, how stuff works, how queues work, how hash maps work, how PQs work, and all that stuff, right? So that sort of is needed when you are going to be a SD, right? That makes sense.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions? After this, we'll just go into code directly to solve problems and to see how things work.
Uh, Actually, someone said in the Q&A that how do you figure out that you're ready to contribute?
Where is the Q&A though? I can't see it.
It's in the bottom. Actually, I can see it.
Okay. I have a Q. Okay, I can see it now. Can you see it? Like my
Yeah,
screen is shared, right?
yeah.
Okay, so how do you figure out you are ready to contribute? You won't ever be. So you won't ever know actually. You'll have to figure out if you are by trying it out. If you know basic programming, if you know the tech stack that the project is offering, for example, if it's a Python project, right? For example, this is a whole. So this sort of project has Python, TypeScript, and multiple languages, right? So if you know the language, उसके बाद you can try it out. If you know the framework, then you can try it out. For example, when I went to this project, right, like Rocket Chat, this is based on this thing called Meteor.js, right? I had no idea how Meteor.js works. I literally had no idea how Meteor works. I just knew JavaScript. So if you know the language, then start off with it because it's complex anyways. तुम पढ़ के जाओगे फर्क नहीं पड़ता because the project is going to be way beyond whatever you will ever learn in college. Open source is like a whole new level that you'll have to leverage over time and learn over time to navigate, right? So yeah, you won't ever know if you're ready. You have to start doing it one day to figure out कि यार आता है कि नहीं आता, क्या सीखना है इसके बाद. If it's JavaScript, then learn JavaScript. If it's Python, then learn Python. Then you learn the framework that's there. So I think that's how you should navigate it. You won't ever have like a thumbs up saying कि यार अब आ गया, अब कर लेते हैं. करना ही पड़ता है कहीं जाके. तो उसके बाद you will get to know how it actually is, right? Okay. Anything else? Someone said कि host ने chat disable कर दिया. Okay, I think that was there. Yeah. Okay, guys, Q&A पूछ लो यार. You can ask in the Q&A itself. We'll start with the code, I think, in like 1 minute if there are no more questions. Can you guys have like a thumbs up at least some? I don't know कि कितने लोग alive हैं इस meeting में इस time पे. Okay. You can just do it in the Q&A itself. Any paths to sticklers to learn tech stacks after doing this? I would say build projects. I would say open source is a good way to learn how to use frameworks, and then you can build projects on top of it. From open source, you can learn how to write good code, and then you can build it in a similar fashion. So I would say, just go through the documentation, and then you can also. So yeah, Q&A you can ask. Okay, so you can figure out what you want to build with the tech stack, and then start building it, and then learn it in the process. That's what I did in Meteor.js and Next.js as well. So I contributed to this project first, and then I went to RC4, and RC4 was based out of Next.js, and I had no idea how that worked. So I just went and researched on it. Like I literally Googled Next.js and read the documentation there. So you can just Google stuff and learn from the documentation that's already there. That's a good way to learn anything. Okay, I'll take this question at the end now. Let's go through a code base first, see how to actually navigate something in open source, and then we'll come back to it. That's fine. Cool. Okay, I'll just close this for now. Okay. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I say a code base, right, that I just showed you guys, right? That's what we'll go through. It's open source code base. You'll have to, so like with any code base, you have to see क्या code base करता क्या है, काम क्या है उस project का, and कौन लोग use करते हैं, right? So read the documentation that they have. Read the README first. See यार, okay, it's used by managers. It shows DORA metrics. What are these metrics? What does it do? So I would say it's like a dashboard app for managers to check their metrics for their teams, right? That's what this project offers. उसके अलावा you can deep dive into how it works, but it's not that much relevant to you guys in any scale. For example, if you guys check out like any other open source project like this one, you won't ever understand कि यार पूरा project करता क्या है. So I would say like just see the README ones, get the idea of how things work, and then move forward with it, right? So you see the README, see how to use the app. So you can go to the dev setup now. So for example, we have like README over here. You can go to the dev setup using Docker, or even here you can use a Gitpod directly to set it up. So in Docker you can sort of I think use this command. So पहले repo को clone करना है. After that you have to do a rep.sh, right? So I already have the project in place. So you can see मैंने यहाँ पे किया था clone. Now I can find the file. For example, if I do ls, I have this project over here. I'll just make it a bit larger. Yeah. Can you like see my code? Is the code visible? Thumbs up. Someone speak up.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, so as the README says, right, you clone it first. You do a cd middleware, and then you run this command. Okay, so we are in a Git repository now, right? That means we are in the project. Then you do this command that they have mentioned, right? So I already have the project set up. Like I already did this thing in like some other repo over here. So I'll just do it over here directly. So okay, So I'll close this. Yeah, it's VPN. Yeah. So yeah, right. So you can do now. You just I'm in the project. Now I just have to run the command. I'll just clear my terminal first. I have to run dev.sh, I think, yeah. And that should open the project, ideally. That's what they have mentioned, I think. Yeah. So the project is setting up, right? And then you have to figure out what they have mentioned in the README itself. So it will be on host 333. This is the analytics server, this is the sync server that they have. So we like have multiple servers inside the project. One is for syncing data, one is for the math part, one is for the Next.js part. So this project uses a Python backend and a Next.js BFF layer and a like React sort of React on top of Next.js. It's over there, right? In TypeScript. So if you don't know any of it, even that is fine. You just have to know the language and like some part of the tech stack, like how it works, right? So I have the project running. I think after the steps that they mentioned, uh, you can go to you can Docker setup. All right. So we did this, and now it should be on this port. So we'll just see. Okay, the Docker image is up. I think we can go to this port now, according to them. Okay. Okay, it's working. So I see some logs over here. There's a lock apparently. Okay, I think let's restart the project first. So let's do a dev sh again. Okay, it's sort of closed, I think, by mistake. So it's up now. Okay, so yeah, it's up. The project is running now. You can see it working. I think it's little times over here. Okay. I think it's gonna take some time to load. Till then, we can also read me again. I will have the link over here. Yeah. So ठीक है. I think we were on the setup part. We did the setup. We can see that. So this project will use Docker now to run the project inside it. So Docker has like a environment to run your code inside of it. That's what Docker actually does for any code base. So we just went through the thing to set it up, right? Okay, there's a new release that they mentioned over here. Okay, so this is the project. I see a dashboard over here in the project, the same that they mentioned in the README, I believe, because I have made some teams for it. If you are doing it, I think you have to make a new team. So make like a new team called Code Ninjas. I can make it, right? So what you will have to do is sort of make a token first. So go to the integrations page. I would say they would have it in the README itself. Like the things you have to do are in the README, mainly in the setup part, or like how to use it, how to like use the app. You can just go through this usage part. You have to make a token first, and then add the token, and then make teams. All that thing is mentioned over there, right? So just like do those steps at first. I have already did it to save time. So I did this. I had my GitHub link, and like now I can make a team. So I can go to manage teams. I can make a new team called Coding Ninjas. So I'll say Coding Ninjas team, and now I can add projects to it. For example, this team has multiple projects like React, right? So this team maybe has itself like middleware HQ/middleware, right? Yeah. So okay, that was strange. Middleware. Yeah, so it's like add this project to this team. That means that this team uses this project, and like these are like they are sort of mapped together. So you can just have some settings, save, and like just like use the app first. So do like random things in the project to sort of use it and like see how it works, right? And then you can just have this dashboard screen open and like see the metrics. उसके बाद यार you have to like see the open issues first, and you can sort of add them by label. So for example, if I want to filter stuff by label to see यार क्या solve करना है मेरे को, I can maybe just add like a filter for good first issues, right? So I add this filter. Now you can see like these are basic issues that you can solve in the project. I'll see the first one that was like just made like 1 hour back, that currently the Docker version details are only visible during the initial process setup. After the project runs, there is no information about the Docker version. So apparently, I think this project pushes Docker images directly to Docker Hub once it is pushed as a PR. So you can see this sort of release is done, and then I think they push it to Docker. So it just yeah. So here they're taking it from Docker itself, right? So they have middle recipe as Docker. So you can maybe so this is like a Docker setup that you have to do if you are doing a production. You can just search this thing on Docker. So insert Docker Hub, and then this, and then you can find the project on Docker and see how they're making it, right? So apparently the issue what it mentions is that the project has multiple versions, but you can't see it on the UI. I think that's what the issue is about. So it says the Docker version details are on the setup project, but you can't see it anywhere else. To ensure visibility and management, we need a persistent location where the Docker version is displayed. This allows the people to know the version of the app, or if it is outdated, right? Then you can see like what all it does, right? Display the current Docker version prominently within the application interface. Ensure Docker version information is updated in real time. Ensure CTA button to guide people to update the Docker version, right? So what you can do after this is like ask the person like what is the first step you can do, right? So you can ask Amok, maybe Amok, how should I mitigate this? Mitigate this to sort of see how it's supposed to be done, right? And like उसके बाद you can see यार कि करना कैसे है काम, like what do all these fancy words mean, right? So after that you can see that when we open the app, it is running inside a Docker container. So the container has some version. We have to show it on the UI. That's the whole task. If that's fine, right? So as a new contributor, what I would want to do is try to see the code base, right? Now it's like so many files that are already there, right? We have a backend, we have a web server, we have some database Docker files, etc. But the first thing I would do is probably search like Docker in the code base. I would search Docker. Okay, Docker. Yeah. So you can find Docker in a lot of places. Then you can easily go through something like, so he mentioned version as well. So probably you can mention like version somewhere at Python version. It has some version. Okay. Let's see. So when we opened the app, we saw some CTA for the update, right? So we can probably see some network calls over here as well. So how to navigate a project is how this is done. So when you load the app, I think we have like a version call that's happening over here. So maybe that will help us. So we loaded the app. There's a call to this version API. This version API has some response. Yeah. So this API that is already there on the UI has this date. We need to find a way to show this on the UI somewhere. That's what is mentioned in the issue. So display in the interface. So I think we can't show it. So I think we can show it on the sidebar, maybe over here or somewhere at the bottom. I think here is cool. So it's already so it's like also written like not in the face. So we have a latest Docker build date, which is like the build date of the Docker image right now, but the image that you have might have like a older date, right? So see like where this data is coming from. This is some like a versions API that is internal / version, right? So this API already has the data. So you have to like now find this file in the code base. That's it. So if you do p and do version, I think this. So how Next.js works is that Next.js has like path in their file routes. So pages slash API slash internal slash version is like a API, right? So what this call was API internal version, same as the file structure, API internal version, right? So you have to see how the framework also works over here, if that makes sense, right? So we can see like this file. So this is the API that is sending this data out to us, right? And this project is also using Redux. I can see it in my dev tools over here. So I have like these tools to check out the state of the app, and this project is sort of based on Redux, right? So that's also a thing to know. So now you can sort of see how to change this API to send the current Docker version as well. So we are checking over here if we need to update the project. We're checking the version information, and we have the old remote local build date. I think this is what we need in the UI. So local build date, local remote date, we're comparing them. So if we can get this data of local build date in the API itself, then it would be pretty cool, right? So I can change the API first and see how that affects the app, if it breaks it or not. So what I can do is I can add like a new key called current Docker. Let's copy paste it. Copy it, paste it. Current Docker image build date, and I can use I think this local build date in it, which is in this file, which is this variable, and this is being used over here, right? So I can use version info dot this file to this project. So I can do new date, and I can send version info dot current build date. I think that works. Okay, so this is throwing an error because this type is different in the return statement, so I have to change this over here as well. Okay, you can just change this to current Docker build date. That makes sense. This should work to some extent. And now you can refresh and see if the API actually changed. Okay, response. Okay, this is no change. Okay, this is the old response. If I just refresh the whole page. Okay, I can have to do current here. Current Docker image. Yeah, that works. So I can just do a refresh, and the version API should be changed. Yeah, so we have this variable here now, which have to like show it in the sidebar. So the next part is to sort of figure out here how do you render it. So what you need to do is find a file that has the sidebar, right? As a new contributor, it's going to be super difficult to navigate. So what I would do is just search the codebase again. So we found a versions file first. So कि वहाँ change करना है. That is fetching some local build date from somewhere called the current build date, right? From the version info, and the version info is being read from the build variables, from the build date. So this is the API change. The next thing I would do is find how to use this inside the sidebar somehow. So what I would do is just search the codebase again. I would just search something along the lines of sidebar. Sidebar provider, maybe content, context, content. Okay, context. Maybe we can go over here. Yeah, so I think let's try to break things if this is the thing that we want to change. So this is sidebar content. We can now maybe change and see if this is the place we want thing to add. So let's change this code saying coding ninjas x middleware. Does it render? Okay, this is what we need, right? So that's how we reach this place. Now we need to find a way to get the API response over here. So I'll just see if this response was ever in my Redux state. So I can just, so we can see the Redux store. So it will sort of help you manage state. So this tool over here called Redux Manager will enable you to see कि कौन सी तुम्हारे पास अभी state में variables हैं, right? So or you can just see that if there is a API call being made to the version file. So you can just do version. Okay, the version file is fetching it over here, delivering something called post message. I don't know what this is. So I'll just see if this is somewhere in the state. So I can just do down. Or maybe we can open it somehow. Okay, so I can open app maybe. And is it somewhere inside state? Okay, let's just see if I can open it a bit bigger. So I can components. No. I need a profiler. No. I need services. No. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. So let's go back. Let's go to console again. Let's use this tool directly. Let's navigate it a bit for the app state right now. Okay. Okay, so cool. So we are using this API. This API is being used in this response. We can change this as well since we now need the new variable over here. So I can say latest Docker image. What do we call it now? Maybe we can call it current Docker image build state. So I can call it current Docker image build state, which is like a date string. That works. And now you just have to, so this is also okay. So this is so yeah, so this response is being used in a slice of the app. So we just have to find how to use the slice. Okay, so this is the slice that is using it. So you open the slice, see where it is being used. Period action is being used over here. So yeah, we have it in the state called action latest image status. So you can now go inside the Redux store and see app and see latest image status, and you can, yeah, so this is the data that is already inside my state, right? Latest current Docker image build date. We just want to like now use this in the sidebar. So now you have to know how to use a Redux state variable in your app, right? So now we have to do it in the component. So we changed this file, I think, for the code, yeah, over here. Now we just have to use that state variable for the date over here and just like show it over here to solve the issue. So what we can do is we can do like a fetch it over here. So yeah, right? So what we can do is you can do something like const image status and with like a use selector hook to use the state. That's what you would use if you were using Redux, right? So from the store, and then you can use the variable from the state. So you can do s dot app, as we saw, dot latest image status, right? That's the image status, and now you want the date. So you do const date is equal to let's say image status dot, yeah, we have it over here, current Docker image build date, and now you can enter the date over here, I think inside a flexbox maybe. So you can just use like a flexbox over here. That worked. And now you can use like something like a variable called image time stamp, and that should work. Date, yeah, let's see if that worked. So yeah, we have the timestamp over here. Now you have to make it just look better in life. So you can use the datafns library. You can use format. I think what it's called format. You can use some datafns, and then you're gonna figure out how to use the format function actually. You can ask GPT how to use the date fns format. Okay, you can make the string better in some form. So you see, you might have to like use GPT as well for things you don't know how to use, right? So okay, this worked. We can do this and this. So we need a format, a date, and then the thing we need to actually use, right? So we need to pass the date. That's why it's breaking. So we have to do new date, and that worked. And now we need to know the format that you want. So we can do something like dd and do y. Does that work? I don't know. Let's see. So that worked. So this is now you need to know the time. So actually just ask GPT again. So you can just ask GPT directly from your code. How to render the time. So like GPT will sort of help you learn things along the way, so you don't have to know everything by scratch. For example, I used this thing because I knew how it worked. You can ask GPT as well to know how Redux works, how the Next.js framework works for repair out and all that stuff. So things will take time. So yeah, you just have to do this now. Cool. Just copy this directly. Okay, this is actually keep writing and just stop it. Okay. Yeah, I can just paste it. A formatted date. Just use it over here as well and see if it works. Okay, that works perfectly. Now you have to make it like so. So this is like a not fully done, but you can open a PR and ask if it's fine and what to change in it. So maybe you can make it a bit sexier by using like justify center. So you can do justify center and do like align center and see if that makes it a bit better. Yeah, that makes sense. So now you can just ask the maintainer if this sort of works. So now you can just close the thing to X. Now you can just do commits on that one. For example, you change this response, you change this version, so you can commit on that one. For example, you change the version file to add a new key, right? So you can do git commit updated version API to send local build date. Okay, when a main branch, right? So first you have to like change the branch. So do git checkout minus b version issue, right? And now you can start committing. So you can do git commit minus m update version API. Similarly, you can just change these. You can update these together, saying git commit minus m update Redux state and sidebar to show version details. And then you can just push the code to a branch called push origin version issue, and then open the PR. So what you can do now is go to the project. Over here, it will ask you to open the PR directly. So compare and open. You can mention the issue that you were solving. So we are solving, yeah. You can do this, say closes this, and then you can add your description of your did. So we can copy the issue tasks and mention them over here. So you can go to the issue, you can go to this, and then you can just copy these criterias and see which all you were able to fulfill in this PR. So you can copy this and you can copy this together. So yeah, we could display the version on the app interface. That's good. This already works, so we don't need this anyway, so we'll mark it first as well. Now what did you change? So we update the version API, so we say updated version API to send Docker version. Similarly, you can say updated sidebar to show Docker update, and then just open the PR and ask the maintainer to just review it once. So you can say Amok, who opened the issue, can you please see if this works and suggest changes. And comment it, and then you can request review from someone. So you can request from anyone like Ishan or Shivam to review your PR. Yeah. So that's how you sort of navigate a code base. Okay. Who all are there left now after this long coding spree?
Actually, someone just asked in the chat that you have told about that how to add timestamp. That thing he has left that, so he missed a session that part. That how to add a timestamp.
So I'll just take you through I'll just take you guys through what I actually did in the PR, like how I solved the issue, and how I can explain, right? Because I think बहुत सारी चीजें कर दी हैं एक साथ. So I'll just take you through the whole process of it. The issue said I had to add a build date, right? I just went to the code base, see if there was something that mentioned a version sort of thing, right? The version was already in an API that was coming. So I just went to the code base, saw कि यार already एक version type की API थी, उसमें से there was a timestamp already there, right? But the API response didn't have it. So the first thing that I wanted now was कि यार वो API में data है तो आगे नहीं रहा. So मैंने वो response change किया API का, ठीक है? And उसके बाद I checked कि यार API change हुई है कि नहीं हुई है after I changed it. So after that if I open the project again, I then checked कि my change did it change the API response as well, right? That was the second part of it. That API response did change my API call का actual response, right? उसके बाद I figured कि यार अगर project Redux use कर रहा है, that means कि this thing might already be in state somewhere, right? So I just checked कि यार जो ये version की API है ये कहाँ पे हो रही है use. तो मैं यहाँ पे गया, मैं देखा कि वर्जन की API यहाँ कॉल हो रही है, इसका रिस्पॉन्स ये है. फिर मैं रिस्पॉन्स पे गया कि कहाँ हो रहा है ये वाला रिस्पॉन्स यूज, राइट? इस रिस्पॉन्स का यूजेज जो मैंने देखा कि यार एक स्लाइस में हो रहा है यूज. सो रिडक्स हैज स्लाइसेस. सो रिडक्स मैनेजेस योर ऐप की स्टेट फॉर ऑल यू गाइस लाइक गूगल रिडक्स वंस. रिडक्स तुम्हारी ऐप की स्टेट करता है स्टोर इन अ थिंग कॉल्ड स्टोर, लिटरली स्टोर नाम होता है इसका. यू कैन फेच स्टेट from the store directly, and like that is how it's done, right? So I just check the slice कि यार ये response जो है इसी slice का part तो है, ठीक है? And ये slice का नाम ये है latest image status. तो now I checked कि यार state का part तो है, फिर उसके बाद मैंने check किया actually में यार कि क्या same state में है. तो उसके बाद में Redux के जो मेरा टूल होता है to like see the state of the Redux, मैंने वो यूज किया डेव टूल्स यूज करके. एंड उसके बाद आई फिगर्ड कि यार मुझे बस अभी स्टेट को यूज करना है कहीं पे. अब वो स्टेट वेरिएबल के अंदर ना मेरा ये वाला की था ही नहीं जो मेरे को मतलब एक्चुअली में करना था यूज. तो मैंने उस स्टेट के अंदर बस ऐसे वाला की किया है, ठीक है? सो नाउ यू सॉल्व वन थिंग एट अ टाइम. मेरे पास था ही डेटा, तो मैं वो जो डेटा था वो कहाँ से फेच करना है पहले मैंने वो ढूंढा, उसको फेच किया. देन आई फिगर्ड कि यार वो चेंज होगा, मतलब वो कहीं यूज भी हो रहा है ऐप में ना, UI पे, Next.js पे, Redux में. एंड ऐप के अंदर है स्टोर Redux का, बिकॉज आई सॉ कि मतलब इट इज़ बीइंग यूज्ड इन द ऐप. सो फिर मैं Redux पे गया, मैं देखा Redux में ओनली चीज स्लाइस में हो रहा है यूज़. सो मैंने चेक किया कि यार ये API कॉल कहाँ हो रही है, तो मैंने बस चेक किया /version, ये तो नहीं होगा, वर्जन की API यहाँ हो रही है कॉल जो मैंने चेंज करी. एंड इसका रिस्पॉन्स ये है, इसका रिस्पॉन्स कहाँ का हो रहा है यूज़, वो देखा मैंने, उसको चेंज किया, फिर मैंने की ऐड करी, एंड उसके बाद मैंने स्टेट में फाइंड की कौन सी की है एक्चुअली मेरे ऐप की स्टेट के अंदर. एंड उस ऐप की स्टेट के अंदर जाने के बाद फिगर किया वो वाली ऐप की स्टेट की मुझे कैसे यूज़ करनी है अपने प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर, राइट, लाइक इन माई UI. उसके बाद फिगर किया UI में चेंज कहाँ जाना है. If I want to change this sidebar, I can just I can just like search sidebar in the code itself. So search का option होता है VS Code में. You can just search sidebar literally. sidebar component, sidebar data. So मैंने sidebar content search किया. मुझे मिल गया कि यार कंटेंट तो यहीं पे हो रहा है स्टोर साइडबार का. मैंने ट्राई किया इसका थोड़ा खेलने वेलने का, थोड़ा तोड़ने का, मैंने देखा क्या चेंज तो हो रहा है, ठीक है. तो मैंने चेंज किया तो वो चेंज तो आएगा ना ऐप में. नाउ आई नीड टू फेच दैट स्टेट वेरिएबल ओवर हियर. वो फिर मैंने उसको फेच किया स्टेट से. ये कैसे करना है, यू कैन सी द कोड बेस डायरेक्टली इन मल्टीपल प्लेसेस की कैसे करते हैं यूज स्टेट ऐप की, किस से करते हैं. एंड फिर मैंने गया कि फॉर्मेट डेट का सही नहीं है, तो मैंने नेट का फॉर्मेट को बेटर करने के लिए लिटरली GPT यूज किया. यार फॉर्मेट करनी नीड तो, पर लाइक आई हैव नो आइडिया कि लाइक कैसे करूँ. तो मैंने यूज कर लिया GPT को टू कॉपी कोड लिटरली एट सम एक्सटेंट, एंड इट गिव मी सम फंक्शन कि फॉर्मेट डेटा फंक्शन ये है. मैंने यहाँ बॉक्स ऐड कर दिया एक, एंड यहाँ पे डेट आ गई. दैट वाज द होल प्रोसेस ऑफ इट, ऑफ हाउ आई सॉल्व्ड इट, इफ दैट मेक्स सेंस. Cool. So it is not specific to this code base. That's how you can navigate any project, right? So you can go piece by piece, solve one small problem at a time, see कि यार वो कोड चेंज कहाँ हो रहा है, उससे क्या चेंज होगा, पूरी ऐप में डेटा किस फ्लो से आ रहा है, कौन सी API से आ रहा है, कौन सा UI कंपोनेंट चेंज करना पड़ेगा, उससे क्या इफेक्ट होगा, ये सब चीजें you figure out, and then you break things a bit, change करके देखो, then you will figure out. I could do it faster because I maintain the project. And I have done enough open source, so I can navigate a bit fairly. But यहाँ पर भी when we changed 3 files only, right, in the PR, we didn't go through hundreds of files. We only went to 3 files by sort of seeing यार क्या हमें search करना है actually inside the code base, and कहाँ से point मिले entry का in the code base, right. वरना अगर हम पूरा code base देखने लग जाए ना, हमारी फट लेगी. मतलब इट हैज एवरीथिंग, वेब सर्वर, बैकएंड सर्वर, डेटाबेस, डॉकर, CLI चल रहा है सब कुछ. बट हमने वो नहीं किया. वी फिगर्ड कि यार हमको जो करना है बस वो करेंगे. वील फिगर आउट कि कैसे पहुंचना है वहां तक. दैट्स द स्टेप यू नीड टू बिल्ड ओवर टाइम इन योर डेवलपर जर्नी. Cool. That answers the question of missing it. Hello. Are you guys listening? Okay. I'll just go through my last slide. So, the same way you can contribute to this project, this is also something I maintain at Rocket Chat. You can track this dev journey called Vipin. I would recommend going through his older PRs. So, how I would normally go is I would see some contributors earlier PR. Like, यार बंदे ने first के क्या solve life में, because they would start with something simpler. So now his current PR is to add something very complex, like profile information add करनी है project में, या फिर कुछ bug solve करना है around sharing, and he added like complex features. But like his first PR was like spelling fixes, adding a modal, simple spelling fixes, simple random smaller things, and you sort of build on top of it. So that's a journey you will all have in contributing to open source, I think. So yeah, that's how you can go through it. So there's like a burning question about open source कि यार क्या मुझे जॉब मिलेगी तो कर रही open source से, because people sell it like this. But so it is possible if you work very hard, but you shouldn't work for this goal. You should work to upskill and learn and build actual things. Don't just keep fixing typos. Although उसने किए एक बार typo fix, but उसके बाद he learned to contribute better over time. So the first player can be a spelling fix, a simple reading fix, but after that you can go to more complex things over time as you move forward. Well, I'll just go through the questions now since we are almost out of time. राहुल का और आंसर हो गया है. Which tech stack? So Udbhav, you can go to any tech stack. You can, I think, pick JavaScript, TypeScript, and just go through like a Next.js, like a merge stack sort of route. That's the most common nowadays. Or you can go through Android or anything maybe you like. Actually, कुछ ऐसे focus नहीं होना चाहिए because you do what you love actually. That's how you should move forward with it. जो भी build कर रहे हैं उसके around you should learn. When to start contributing? You can just contribute when you know like some language and some sort of framework. You can start contributing to that language's projects. Any good Python repo to contribute to? I think you can contribute to our project. It's pretty Python friendly. It's pretty like beginner friendly. So you can just contribute to this project. It has a Python backend over here. You can learn from it, I believe. I said it again. यार कुछ मेजर नहीं होता. So there is no major thing I used to learn in open source. You just have to learn the code base over time and learn the language and tech stack over time. That's what that is a longer journey that you all will have. You'll have to learn stuff on the go. That's the hard part. So as this Pepper mentioned, right? So projects are pretty big, pretty complex. They're out of your scope. But as I mentioned, right, even this project is like super big, but you have to focus on smaller issues first, right? If you think it's out of scope in terms of knowledge, then you have to learn things. Like I said, you have to learn and study for the project and study harder. That's the only approach. Or you can like have like a smaller project first and like uske baad you can go to like a bigger project. If that makes sense. Any more questions? Or any I missed?
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Actually, my cousin is also be a Google Summer of Code, and he has a very different kind of skills. Not about any kind of language he has learned. He is actually very good in graphic designing. Actually, so he has done graphic design, and I must say that be a graphic designer can be also a good opportunity to be a part of open source contribution.
Actually, you can. That's a very, very interesting question. I had a friend, उसका नाम था Irfan. He contributed to GSOC in my time, right? And when he joined, he didn't code much. He did UI UX for Rocket Chat. So his starting contributions were literally designs. So if you go to RC4 community right now, you will see Irfan's starting PRs are literally just designs. So if I search by author and search Irfan, I search Irfan. Okay, I can't see him. But yeah, you definitely can. So yeah, right, Irfan Asif. So if you just see Irfan's PRs, Irfan was initially just doing component designs. He just did component restyling, some designs. So he literally added UI UX designing as a graphic designer, and then he went into HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and learned the UI design, like the dev part later. So that's also like a cool thing that you can all do over time. So yeah, you definitely can contribute to open source even as a designer. So you can see he added conference design doc of Figma. So all these things are also pretty valuable if you have that skill set. So he did all these UI design for them, and he literally was in GSOC with me in that year then. So yeah, he did learn on the way, but yeah, that's also a path to GSOC.
Guys, is anyone interested to say anything? You can just chat it, or you can just simply raise your hand.
No,
Hello,
you can be friends. You can talk if you want.
hello, am I audible?
Hello. Yeah, you are.
So I have also a question. One question that what are the responsibility of mentor for the open source project? Let's
Okay.
suppose that I want to start a project. What are the
Hmm.
responsibility? Better please.
So okay, I'll just share the link again for the project that I'm maintaining right now. So guys, do start it first. Just like start the project that I just showed. It's what I'm maintaining at the moment. As a mentor or maintainer, right? So as a mentor in GSOC, you have to make sure that the student is never blocked on you or on tech. So if I'm mentoring in GSOC, I need to know the tech stack behind it. I need to be able to unblock my mentee at any time and help them with code or whatever, right? So, as a maintainer, what you need to do is you have to make sure that the project is always unblocked. Like you guys can open PRs in the project, and I'll have to see your PRs or maintain the project over time, right? So, as a maintainer, you have to make sure the project is never on delay, right. So as a maintainer you have to make sure that the bugs are solved on time, and the PRs are being reviewed, and the things are going out faster. That's what you have to do as a maintainer. Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Okay, any more questions, guys? You can ask. I'm fine with Hindi as well. You can talk in any language you want, just like hand raise करके. Anyone wants to ask any questions? Like 5 more minutes.
Someone asked in the chat from where we have to join the Discord server of this repository.
Sir, you are
Uh, that, Someone, your mic is off actually.
Okay, so for this project, yeah, for now you can go to discussions. We have a bunch of discussions over here that you can ask stuff from us. We also have a Slack channel that I'll post on here directly once you guys join the repo. That makes sense. So I would say, yeah, that's where you can start with. If you think something is confusing, like the issues are not making sense, and you can ping us over in the discussion over here. That answers questions from, I think, Ankit Kumar. So timeline to clear GSOC. I think GSOC clear करने के लिए, I think you just have to be consistent with open source and learn new things on the way. That's the key to open source, I think, in general. Just start contributing to something you like, and then move forward with it, and don't lose that track. Yeah, so I've been doing CP for a while. How do I switch to dev? Should I do it side by side? So if you're in first, second year, you can do it parallelly. If you're in the final year, I think you should pick one of those things. In the starting stages, you can. So I would say do DSA first. Be like nice in it to solve lead code mediums and hards, and then you can do dev after that, because you will need to know how to code at least to solve more complex problems. So yeah, I think do your basic DSA first and then move to dev. Any more questions? Okay, I think that's it.
If anyone wants to ask anything to Samad, here is his LinkedIn handle in the chat. You can reach out to him. And if wants to talk about the project repo is sent, go to the discussions in the GitHub discussions. And lastly, uh, if anyone wants to be a contributor or be a part of that project, first give it a start to that repo and start contributing it.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, cool. Anything else? We have 20 people left.
Last question someone asked, do I need to be a certain rating in the platform to get better offers?
Better offers as in?
In sort of like to be in the better in open source contribution, like they have to be in better rating in that. Actually, he was stating about his rankings in any sort of coding platforms, maybe in code forces or lead code, so that he could get better offers from jobs placements.
So ratings can help you get interviews at least or get referrals, but they won't get you jobs. Uh, I think ratings don't help in general. They help you if you are very good, like if you're a master on code forces or if you're like 5 6 hour on code chef. That can help you crack. That can help you get an interview or a test link. But after that, it's just your skills. So it can help you get a referral definitely because you are also that good at programming. So yeah, you should be like a good coder at least. So like coders have better ratings. That's how you should aim. If you are that good, you will have a high rating and hence you will get a job. But ratings are not actually needed to get a job. Need to nahi hai. You can do other things as well and then also get a pretty good job.
One person question for me.
Yeah.
Which open source contribution is better according to like LFX or Google Summer of Code? Wait.
And I have friends who have done both of them. I haven't done LFX, but I think they can teach you different things. I think the open source in general can teach you a lot. So if you can, you should do both of them. I had a friend who did both of them. Uh, his name is also Mohanty. His
Siddharth
name is
Mohanty.
Siddharth Mohanty.
He's my cousin actually.
Oh, crazy! He's a friend of mine from GSOC. So I knew him since then. So he did both of them. So yeah, I would suggest like do both of them if you can. I couldn't do both of them, obviously.
He mentioned that LFX is a better opportunity for him. That is
Oh, crazy! Yeah, it can be. I have no idea actually of how it can be differentiation in any ways, but maybe he got a complex project over there and learned a lot. Maybe that's I think one thing that you can think of. Yeah. So I think you should apply to both of them and like, get into both of them. So GSOC, MLH, LFX are like all like good programs to get into. So कुछ अच्छा नहीं है बुरा नहीं है, but being in all of those would help a lot. Any and all would help a lot. Cool.
thank you for insights actually.
Yeah. Any more questions or we can drop off? I think it's 9:30.
Yeah.
I have to go home as well. I'm literally in office right now.
Sheikh, can you just send an ending note?
Yes. So आई बी सबके क्वेश्चन तो हो ही गए होंगे आपको किसी को डाउट्स तो रहेंगे सो with that we come to our enlightenment session as on open source and its advantage. So I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Samad Yar Khan for sharing his expertise and experience with us. So always remember, open source is not just about the code; it's about community, learning, and making a real impact. I encourage each of you to take a next step to your open source journey and start small, be consistent, and don't be afraid to ask help because asking for help is one of the major key in this community, I believe. So, thank you, Samat Vanatians, for your time and valuable insight. And big thanks to you and Coding India for partnering with us for this webinar. Lastly, thank you all for your active participation and engaging question. Don't forget to check out the GitHub repo of middleware and connect with Samad on LinkedIn. For more insight, if you have any further question, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn and also through communities such as Slack and Discord. Keep coding, keep contributing, keep learning.